Have you all noticed something? We have a left-wing government in Downing Street, and even though we on the right are not happy with the voting system, the first past the post way of doing things, but we're not out on the streets of London rioting, we're not smashing things up, we're not assaulting people, we're not looting businesses. We didn't have a big boombox outside Downing Street when Keir Starmer made his first speech as Prime Minister, unlike Steve Bray. And considering we're always being called the far right by these people, we're being quite generally civilised, don't you think so? So anyway, the four horsemen of the Reformalyps, they held a joint press conference earlier today where they were going to outline their plans for the next 5 years. They were all there, Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, Lee Anderson and Rupert Lowe. And as soon as Nigel Farage stood up to make his opening remarks, it all kicked off. 5 rabid lefties stood up, each after the other. When one was thrown out, another one would stand up and start shouting abuse. And it's just typical of the violent left. And I'll be straight with you folks, I really worry for Nigel Farage's safety. He's been assaulted twice during this general election. It's happened before. And it'll happen again, and it'll get worse, because these people are brainwashed by the mainstream media. They are brainwashed by the press and also high-profile lefties on X, who are comparing Nigel Farage and the rest of them, Reform, to the Nazis. That's right, folks, the genocidal maniacs in 1930s Germany, who wanted world domination and responsible for the deaths of millions of people. But let's be honest, these people wouldn't know a real Nazi if one goose-stepped up and down their sensitive liberal bums. Reform have caused a huge shock, and they can't deal with it, but Nigel Farage certainly dealt with them. I think he dealt with it rather beautifully, to be honest with you, and he was quite funny with it. And they were all thrown out. Of course, we're all for free speech, but these people were agitators. And Nigel Farage rightly pointed out in the middle of this that we'll find out sooner or later if they're actors or not, and if they're working in conjunction with Channel 4. We all know what he was talking about. And that's the thing, isn't it? You don't know these days. The fact that these 4 have been voted into Parliament, especially Nigel Farage's election after the 8th attempt, I believe has eclipsed Keir Starmer's press. And if you watched his speech, it was like watching the demon headmaster trying to talk while having a bunged nose. Probably the most boring prime ministerial speech ever, and I remember Gordon Brown. But these agitators were rightly thrown out because that was their point, to agitate. And that's why these 4 now need top-notch security, especially Nigel Farage, because he's the bogeyman. He's the one they're all after, because he is the guy with the pulling power and the influence. And he's the guy who made all this happen. And there we go, that's what I think. I'm Paz49, thanks for watching, and until the next time, Roger Trout.